Well, good evening, guys, and welcome to another episode of True China Stories. Alright, some of you might be wondering, why am I always drinking in these videos? Well, I'll tell you. These kind of stories have to be told over a beer. And to be honest, half the time I need to have a beer or two before I actually remember some of these. So, this story takes us all the way back to the beginning. It happened in probably August of 2006. That was the first year I was in China. I came to China in March of 2006. Alright, so this is a story about a beggar. And let me give you a little bit of my own opinion about beggars. I don't want to get too much into it, but growing up in South Africa, I was surrounded by beggars. Every single day I saw beggars. You'd pull up at a traffic light in your car, beggars at your window. You go anywhere, beggars asking you for money. And you know what? If you come from a first world country, and you go to a poor country and you see beggars, you might feel compassion, you might feel like shame, I should give them some money, poor, downtrodden, poor people in a bad situation. That's noble and everything, but when every single day of your life you have beggars asking you for money, demanding money from you, you get tired of it. I mean, you just, after a while you become numb to it. Like myself, if there's a beggar, I actually don't give a shit, because I could also be a beggar. The reason I'm not a beggar is I actually work and I try hard. And yes, I understand different people have different advantages and different people have different opportunities in life. But I actually do give money to buskers, people who actually try to play an instrument, do something interesting, I don't know, dance, do handstands, anything. But these people that just sit around expecting money with a sorry expression on their face, sorry, I'm just not interested. Anyway, that's just a little bit of backstory. I used to live at that time, well, let's rewind a little bit. I was down to my last probably 20 renminbi at that time. All this will come out in my Surviving Shenzhen series, which is still going to happen, by the way, for those of you who doubt it. So I was down to about my last 20 renminbi, and I was living in at the time, the red light district of Shenzhen, which was Shadzweicun. Silence! Anyway, dog in the background. Anyway, Shadzwei translates to sand mouth. What this means is the mouth of the Sand River, actually. And that village at that time, it's not really anymore, was the sort of red light district of Shenzhen. It was the hub of all that nefarious activity because of its proximity to the Hong Kong border. Anyway, so I was living in this slum, and at the time I had nothing to do. I used to walk around all day, all night, especially at night. I used to go walking around exploring the city, exploring the villages nearby, just to get my mind off my horrible situation. So I was walking around on a Friday night, and I walked into, they had this street which was just lit up. It's like the main street in Shadzwei village, very lit up, lots of neon, lots of little shops, lots of brothels, KTVs, which kind of the same thing, shops. And it was very vibey. You walk down there and you see lots of people, lots of things, lots of interesting stuff going on. So I was just walking up and down, and I'd seen this beggar before. But there was this beggar, he's sitting there, right? And he's, he was actually lying on the ground, trying to look all disfigured and, sad and sorry for himself, and trying to, invoke pity. So he's lying there everything's bad with the world, beard, kind of an old guy, probably in his late 50s or something. And I looked at the guy and I thought, you know what, it's Friday night. Everybody should at least be able to enjoy themselves on a Friday night. So I went to the local shop. Qingdaos, you know, the big Qingdaos, they only cost something like 4.5 renminbi in the small villages anyway. I bought 2 beers. I went to the sort of barbecue guy next door, bought a bunch of barbecue, the rest of my money, whatever, just a whole bunch of stuff. You know, whatever I could afford. And I went and I sat right across from the guy, like right next to him, and I said, "Here." See, I couldn't speak any Chinese at the time, so I was just speaking English. So I gave him the beer and I said, "Here, drink." And he took it from me, and I cheersed him, and we started to drink the beer. Anyway, his expression changed. It changed from this, "Oh, I'm so sorry for myself," looking like he's injured, or you know, they put on this kind of fake pity sort of face. Changed from that to a jovial, smiling, happy face, which was great. He changed. He completely changed, and he sat up right across from me, and the two of us drank beer. I put the barbecue down in front of him, and he ate barbecue, and we had a good time talking to each other, even though we couldn't understand each other, drinking and eating barbecue. Now, here's the twist. A crowd started to gather around us. Now, it's quite common in China. If something happens, you get a lot of spectators. Okay, people never intervene. It's just one of these things. It could be a fight, and you'll get like a crowd of people. It could be something going on, a crowd of people. A car accident, a crowd of people. It's just the way it works here. So we're sitting there, and suddenly this crowd starts to form. Now you have to understand that this village it's a very vibrant village, lots of people coming and going. So this crowd started 20, 30, 40, suddenly there were like at least 200 or 300 people surrounding us, taking photos, wanting to know what's going on. In fact, it got so bad at one point the police bust through the ring, they came through, they said, "What's going on here?" You know, well, I didn't really understand them, but that's what I figured they were saying. It's like, "What's going on here?" Then they saw it was just me and this beggar eating food and drinking a beer, and they're like, "Okay, nothing's wrong here," and they took a hike. And yeah, long and the short of it, we just sat there, finished our beers, finished our food, and I got up and eventually left. But every time I saw that beggar, because you know he was a local guy, every time I saw him from that day forward, every time I walked past him, he'd have a smile on his face when he looked at me, which was great. You know, just such a difference. I think the reason that there was that massive crowd is the fact that I was a foreigner, the only foreigner living in that village, except for another guy called Jimmy, which I'll tell you guys all about him later. He's a great guy, American guy. Yeah, the fact that I was a foreigner and the fact that I was wearing a suit, because that's my MO, I'll try to explain it to you guys in a video in the future. But it was just quite the experience, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. If you can imagine, in the middle of a slum village on a Friday night, a beggar having a beer with me, and having a laugh, and this huge crowd gathering. It's pretty much a gist of it. Anyway guys, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.